Hello and welcome to Backstage Buzz at the Mac, where you get the inside story and the art scene right from the people who make it all happen. I'm Diana Martinez, and I am thrilled to welcome another round of great guests. In anticipation of the Mac's annual Student Talent Competition, I've invited some of last year's winners to share a little about their experience and give us updates on what they're doing now. They'll be joining us shortly, but first, I've invited back Amelia Barrett, who's directing College Theater's timely production of George Orwell's 1984. Welcome, Amelia.
Thank you.
So, before everybody joined us, you were telling me that there's two versions of 1984.
Yes, there was one on the West End in England that then got transferred to Australia. And then there's the dramatic publishing version, which is what we're doing.
And what's the difference between these two?
Honestly, I haven't read the other one. Well, I guess we did actually in Seasons. That's
Right.
that's the one we picked, but it's not released for amateur rights.
Okay.
The one that was on the West End, though, people claimed to be leaving the theater vomiting because they do a lot of live torture. Whereas I think our version, at least the way
Won't have that in
won't
there.
have that in there. And we're playing that really it's a sense of mind torture rather than
Okay.
physical torture.
Okay. So for those of us who have not seen 1984, can you give us a little synopsis of what this show is about?
Of course, it's this dystopian universe that's supposed to take place. It was written in 1948, by the way.
Okay.
And it was Orwell's reaction to all of these totalitarian regimes that were popping up in Russia and et cetera right after World War II.
Okay.
So it's supposed to take place in 1984, but really in our world it's 2084. And it's a dystopian society where everyone has their place. There's no individuality. There's not allowed to be any love. Everything is the same. Language is getting reduced. There are no private lives. Everyone spies on each other. Big Brother is watching you all of the time. And the only loyalty and job that you should have is to the society, and you're not allowed to think for yourself, and freedom is double speak for slavery, and it's twisted.
Freedom is double speak for slavery? Slavery to
that you're not really free. You're a slave if you think for yourself. So they're in fact, the lead character, who's called Winston, is working in a department where they're reducing language, and they're basically burning any evidence of the past so that any society that can control the past controls the present. That's their theory. It's really disturbing. I mean, it's a very famous book.
Well, it's kind of like Hitler's, Germany, right? When he started to influence what you see on the
Exactly.
news and control the message and ban books and
Exactly. That's
Right?
exactly what it is.
Okay.
And yes, and burning books. And Winston literally destroys newspaper articles where things, proof of what really happened. And the telescreen is always on, and you're not allowed to turn it off. And
the what's on?
the telescreen.
Oh, the television? Okay.
And the funny thing, odd in terms of funny, is that I feel like we're living there right now with your little Google machines where
It's true. You're
they
always
know where
connected.
you are. And well, I looked at this one ad for 2.5 seconds and suddenly that's all I get on my screen, ads for shoes. And
It's true, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's funny when I get into my car sometimes and I'll go to use my telephone and it'll say, you're 15 minutes from home. I'm like, how do you know where I'm going? And I think it's interesting how, now I think part of that's algorithms.
Yeah.
I don't think somebody's really watching me,
Right.
But it feels funny, doesn't it?
Yes.
And I've noticed also when you're typing an email on Gmail,
It starts to finish the sentence for
yes,
you.
it finishes my sentence. I'm like, oh my gosh, can you start it?
I know.
I'd like it way better if you started it.
That's why, actually, I think that it's not antiquated. This play isn't antiquated.
No, it's
I think
very
that we
relevant.
watch it and go, oh, is that really happening to me right now? And what can I do to prevent it from going any further?
Right.
And at the core of this creepy story is this little love story that these two people, Winston thinks that Julia is a spy, and he's been seeing her all over and accuses her of being a spy. And in reality, she's fallen in love with him. And so she's been following him. So they steal off into a place that they're not allowed to go, where they think no one is watching them, and they attempt to have love, and it gets torn
Ugly.
apart. It gets torn apart, and they turn on each other.
Oh no.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. So they turn on each other, and ultimately it's Big Brother that is the only one who's allowed to have love. The only love that you can have is for the government, is for Big Brother. You can't have any personal love.
Well, that's pretty sad.
I know. It's just
So
an
you're doing a
uplifting
very sad story.
I'm doing this comedy called 1984.
But 1984, before this started, I was saying, did I read this in high school? Or was it required reading? And you said it is in certain classes.
Yeah, I think maybe 8th grade I might have done it. I'm not sure. It's one of those things that I think you hear the speak all the time, like Big Brother's watching you.
Right.
And you can't remember exactly what the reference is, but you know it's that sense that you're never alone and someone's always watching and moving you, that you don't have free choice or free will.
So when you are preparing college students for this kind of work, because it's kind of heavy,
Yeah.
will you recommend to them, so they have a point of reference, to maybe watch War of the Worlds, or maybe watch because I bet some students are like, what are you talking about? Where is this coming from? Like, where is this concept coming from? Or do you go back to historical references like Nazi Germany and go, well, here's maybe where this is taken from? Or do you research what the author writes about what he wants people to think? Or how do you?
All of those things I think are relevant. When you and I were chatting before, and I haven't been watching it, The Handmaid's Tale is probably really relevant for this generation, so that they can say, oh, I get it now, I get it.
Right.
Little by little, you wheedle away anything that belongs to me that makes me different than anybody else until I belong to you. So I think it's all of those things. In the production meetings that we've been working on since December, we're talking about showing live footage through the entirety of the play, and that we're not going to show one war, but like all of the wars.
Okay.
So you never know exactly where you are, but you see this violence on the screens all of the time.
Oh, wow. When does the show open?
April 4th through the 14th.
And when do you start rehearsing?
Sunday.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
So
So we've been cast for a long while. I cast in January, but The Foreigner's going up first, and I gave the script to all of the students, and we met, and I said, see you later. And now we're starting in earnest, 5 hours every day.
Well, I look forward to this. It sounds wonderful.
It'll be really cool.
Well, thank you for coming and sharing this with everybody and explaining a little bit about what it's about and what to expect, because I think people should probably be prepared before they come in. Can anybody see this show, any age?
I would say you probably don't want anybody lower than 9.
Okay. So junior high and up maybe?
Yeah.
Or junior high and up? Okay. Because sometimes you just want to make sure it's all appropriate.
Exactly.
You know, and
There's no swearing, but I think they might be disturbed by it.
too much, yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for coming. Break a leg with the show.
Thanks.
College Theater's 1984 will be in the Playhouse Theater April 4th through the 14th. For tickets or more information, please visit atthemac.org or call the box office at 630-942-4000. Or come visit us in person. And while you're here, stop by the Cleve Carney Art Gallery. Currently on display through April 6th is Gary Nolan's Base Materials. Our gallery curator, Justin Whitty, recently got a tour of the exhibition from the artist himself. Take a look.
Hi, I'm Gary Nolan. I'm here with my exhibition, Base Materials at Cleve Carney Gallery. I first met curator Justin Whitty at Tiger Strikes Asteroid in Chicago in 2017. And subsequently, he visited my studio in Los Angeles, and we decided to do an exhibition together. There's a process-oriented piece made from the April 1972 issue of National Geographic called "If Your 6-Year-Old Saw Something Like This, Would He Know How to Phone for Help?" I made the first one in 1995. So I had all the National Geographics in the studio because I was using them for other elements in my practice at the time. And I just simply started carving into the issue with an X-Acto knife. And it was there that it seemed something like a found poem in the magazine. So I've done something in there, collage and photo montage and some editing, to generate interest beyond what the original publication of the magazine looked like. So I'm altering the narrative of the original narrative of the National Geographic, and then subverting it into my own narrative, so that there's meaning within each magazine relating to the one that's next to it. The piece that's on the floor behind me, Anchor, the wood came from a demoed building. The piece of foam was a discarded polystyrene. It's called dock foam. And then the painted rebar had been in our backyard for maybe 30 or 35 years. It was a tool that my grandfather used. It occurred to me one day I should take this into the studio and see what it can be. And it became a metal apparatus for this sculpture called Anchor that seems to mimic what a boat would look like at the dock, with the wooden block being the boat, but the blue foam being the water, so those positions are reversed. It's a very subtle suggestion of, who's in charge. Then the painted rebar gets placed on them, and it is in the shape of an anchor. And it adds a really important linear element to those blocky wooden and foam shapes. I think it's inherent upon me to make things interesting for people who are looking at them. Just try to find the most common material and employ common verbs to it, like cut and collage and position and glue, and to edit and make them something different. Although I agree that they are sculptures, I consider them sort of a dynamic kind of painting. And I consider the paintings different forms of sculpture. And there are really no secrets to anything, how anything is made in this show. It's all things that we find in thrift stores, or in an alleyway, or in a dumpster. And it's all these common verbs that I talked about. So I think I want people to come away with feeling that, something else is possible.
Don't forget all of the other great shows coming soon. Lewis Black will be here with his show The Joke's on Us on March 30th. Come along with Ms. Frizzle and her class as they take a trip through space. TheaterWork USA's The Magic School Bus, Lost in the Solar System, will be at the MAC on April 5th. Crowd favorite, the world-famous Glenn Miller Orchestra returns on April 7th. Don't miss New Philharmonic Orchestra on April 13 and 14 as they present a wonderful piano concert featuring guest artist Winston Choi. Come support our talented students by seeing College of DuPage Dance present their spring showcase on April 19. Join us on April 25th for Me Jane, a family-friendly musical production that tells the story of the childhood of Jane Goodall. For tickets or more information on these shows, visit atthemac.org. Last year at the MAC's annual Student Talent Show, we had a great performance from a talented trio of artists who wowed the crowd and took home second place. Here's a small glimpse of that incredible performance. Take a look.
Now, I'm surrounded by your embrace. Baby, I can see your halo. Know you my saving grace. You're everything I need and more. It's written all over your face. Baby, I can feel your halo. Pray you won't fade away. One, two, right, get
And now they're here to share a little bit about what it was like to experience that. Welcome to the show. So I'm going to have you guys introduce yourselves.
I'm Miray.
I'm Morgan Mott.
I'm Mae Mott.
So Mae Mott, Morgan Mott, and Miray. Miray, no last name?
Nah.
No, just like share.
My last name is McElroy.
McElroy. So talk to me. Last year, you three came out of the woodwork and you auditioned, and I saw your tape and I was like, they're phenomenal. I love them. And we asked you to be in the show. So tell us a little bit about how you started performing together.
We actually all met in high school. Our junior year, he was a senior, was when we started getting closer, and we started doing different acapella works because we fell in love with that side of singing. And we all had the soul side and some alternative. We all had a different little bit going on. And ever since then, we've always performed different places. We started with Mary, Did You Know? And that song really shut us off.
I love that song.
Really
Yes, we love that.
And where did you perform, Mary, Did You Know?
We performed that song easily over 100 times, like
Really?
different occasions, anywhere.
It
Like
started off, they have concert interludes at our choir concerts, and he obviously held audition for a set at interludes. And so I remember just sitting at home one Saturday night, just totally not thinking about it at all, and I get the call from these goons, and they're like, hey, you know, we got a group together. We kind of need a fourth dude. And I was like, yeah, no problem. So I slid on over there, and then it all came together so well, us three and then one other person who is a freshman at Northwestern. And it was just from there, just really kicked off. And we were all in the acapella group, so he started just calling that song out at different concerts. We didn't even expect it. You know?
So it was a school a cappella group that you were a part of?
Yeah.
it was a chamber group.
A chamber group, okay. And you're still singing together?
Yeah. The three of us are.
Always? Have you ever thought about, you know, what your dream is for the three of you?
Yeah.
We'd all like to be strong soloists
Yeah.
one day.
Ah.
And it'd be amazing just to be like, my dear friend Ray, like on the stage and sing together.
I think you'd make an amazing trio.
Yeah.
And then you can do your solos and your show and then do your trio stuff.
Yeah.
It's unique. I mean, there's no other group like you guys.
And we all have the range, like high soprano,
It's easy to
mezzo,
come together, yeah, when you have
bass,
that.
tenor.
So when you did the competition, the student talent competition here last year, and you placed, did it change anything for you?
I mean, we've always performed together, but it was on more of a bigger scene in a different school.
Yeah.
With different competition from, you know, different areas of our like area and different high schools. So it was interesting to see the different talent that everyone brought to the table. And everyone was so sweet and everyone was just rooting for everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
It's funny though, because as you grow in your career, that's what keeps happening, right? You know, like
Yeah,
in
you
your
meet
high
new
school, it's
people.
like, we're awesome. And then you
Yeah.
go to college and you're like, oh my gosh, there's other awesome people
Yeah.
that are awesome in a different way. And,
Yeah.
and then when you're done with college, it's going to happen again, right? It's going to be like, there's a lot of awesome people, you know? So you just have to keep finding your place, right? And believing in your product and believing
And always
in...
perform with your heart, definitely.
You what?
Perform with your heart because people
That's
know
right.
when it's not authentic. Like especially when we were performing at the talent show, like we all just felt that song so much.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like for us three, it was one of our best performances. 'Cause
I
we
think
love
so.
being
I
on
think
stage.
that shows. I think your support of each other shows. I think your love of music shows. And I think that's infectious, you know, and that's genuine. And that's, I always think the audience can sense somebody who's not in it for the right reasons.
Right, you
I
can
don't know
see it.
how, I don't know why, but it seems pretty obvious, you know. So what do you want to do next? What's your next big chapter?
I want to sing. I'm thinking opera, but in
Really?
another country. Yeah, I want to transfer somewhere else and be like enveloped in the culture and sing there. Just because I want like to be in a different culture other than America. I've been here already for 20 years, you know, my whole life.
Well, in Europe, if you want to sing opera, that would be
where
an
to go.
incredible opportunity
Yeah.
to go there.
And I just can't imagine like the cathedrals there and churches and just how like amazing it would sound to sing there. And just, I don't know, like if I sang with people from another country that naturally speak Italian and I was singing in Italian, I think that would just help me a lot more to learn the language and just learn how to like appropriately sing Italian.
I think so too.
That'd be really cool.
That's a really good excuse to get to move to Italy.
Yeah, right?
I want to learn how to sing Italian in Italy.
Yeah,
I like it.
right.
I like it. Well, you know, we were talking before and I shared with you, a lot of people don't know College of DuPage is the second largest study abroad college in the state.
Wow.
They have a huge program for study abroad. So that could be a real possibility.
Yeah.
A real possibility.
You can do it.
Yeah, you can. We agree.
Hopefully.
Absolutely.
And you, next, what's the next stop?
I definitely want to go away to school, but I also have a passion for like humanitarian work. And if I would take a summer off to either go to Africa or like get involved with the Peace Corps, I would love to do that. Because I'm always going to be singing, but
They'd be lucky to have you. I'd be really lucky to have you. You could teach the kids to sing.
oh, that'd be
Can you
amazing.
imagine?
Yeah, I would. Just people that just like I would love it.
Very fulfilling work. Very fulfilling work. That's a beautiful wish. And you're back to
Yeah, U of I.
U of I.
Spent my first 3 semesters there. Came back for a little financial time, but I think soon it's gonna.
Guess who else went to U of I?
Who?
I went to U of I.
Oh.
So go ILL.
I and I, yeah.
That's right. I think that's awesome. They'll be
Yeah.
lucky to have you. And you're going to be a music major at U of I?
Yeah, vocal performance. It'll be. I'm still, I'm still deciding if I might want to throw a little teaching in there or not. I've always been good with kids, so I might. But yeah,
I could totally see you doing it.
vocal performance. I mean, ever since I was a kid, I've always had a dream of being on stage. But there's
Mm-hmm.
different kinds of stages. So I'm sure for teachers, every day is another performance for them.
Well, I know a lot of actors who are successful actors, but they coach on the side. And to be able to teach and coach and do it well and do it right, and students want to take from somebody who's a working musician. I mean, that makes your price go way up.
Yeah.
So I think that's a wonderful combination.
Yeah.
Because it's always good to have something else on the side. Because I think in the arts, you don't always work every single day. There's there's ebbs and flows, and you're recording, and now you're in the studio, but then you have a show. So it's nice to have something to fill in that's consistent and in your field. That's what I like about it. You're still teaching music. You're still learning and evolving and studying and practicing yourself.
Yeah.
So I am hoping that you guys will perform at the next Apollo Live competition to show this new crop how it's done, right?
Absolutely.
And show off. I think that would be amazing. You guys performed at Lakeside.
The pavilion, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How did you like performing in front of that crowd?
it was definitely like the largest crowd I think
That-
we all three have ever performed
Yeah.
before.
I think there was like 3,000 people that
Yeah,
day.
it was pretty big.
I mean,
And it was
I walked
outside,
all the
too.
way up those stairs, and there's people sitting out there with lawn chairs. They couldn't even see. They were still sitting up there listening.
Yeah.
Isn't that exciting though?
It's awesome.
And
It was
we
definitely
had-
exhilarating to
Yeah.
perform and just all eyes on you.
I think one of the reasons I do this is I think it's good to expose young, good talent, right? Because I know as a performer and as somebody, you need to feed the beast. If they're not performing in front of a crowd, they get bored, right? And you want that challenge. And so if I say you're going to perform for a rehearsal in front of your peers, it makes you step it up. If I say you're going to perform in front of the school, now you step it up again. Now if I say, guess what, you're performing in front of 3,000 people,
Yeah, it definitely drives
right?
you.
And I think that it helps to drive and motivate and inspire. And the more you keep performing, the better it gets,
And more
better it gets.
comfortable you get too.
Yeah.
I mean,
you
you're
get
always
more
gonna be on edge,
comfortable.
you should,
And it's good to learn, how do you perform outside? What does it change inside? How does it change where you stand, where you sit? Every experience you learn from. So I want our audience to get to hear you guys sing. So would you do a little something?
Of course.
Awesome. All right.
All right.
I've heard that you're settled down, that you found a girl and you're married now. I've heard that your dreams came true. Guess she gave you things I didn't give to you. Old friend, why you so turn up out of the blue uninvited, but I couldn't stay awake, I couldn't fight it. I hoped you'd see my face and that you'd be reminded that for me it isn't over. Never mind, I'll find someone like you. I wish nothing but the best for you too. Don't forget me, I beg. Oh, remember you said sometimes it lasts in love, but sometimes it hurts instead.
That sounded so good. It's like, I don't know, angelic when the three of you sing together. There's something about it, and your energy together and your conviction. I just couldn't love it more. So bravo, and thank you for sharing your gift with everybody who's watching at home. So if you have a gift or you have a COD student out there looking to show off their talent, we're having another student talent competition. And anybody is eligible to audition. Send us your audition video by midnight on March 29th. If you're not a performer, be sure to come and cheer on the competitors on April 26th. The show's at noon. It's free. It's open to the public, and it is a phenomenal show. I hope you can all come. So that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for watching. We look forward to seeing you at the MAC and next time on Backstage Buzz. Thank you guys for doing this.